Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Travel Without a Cause. I am winded right now because I just got done running a quick 3 miles here at a beautiful park called Girard Park here in Central Lafayette that dates back a very long time. And the reason I'm vlogging after this run at this specific place is because I want to tell you all about this place and the history of it. Got a little bit of Civil War history to it, just a little bit of it, but it's cool. And there's some cool mid-century modern architecture here too, and lots of beautiful, wonderful memories here throughout my childhood, throughout my life. Just a wonderful place. Like I said, so many memories. I can't wait to show you this place and tell you a little bit about it. Thought it'd be a cool vlog. It's a beautiful day, and let's go ahead and jump right in and get to it. I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. Oh, and just in case you're wondering, my 3 mile time on a very hilly park, was a slow 25:36, about 8:30 something per mile. Pretty slow for me. There's a lot of like ups and downs here at this park, so it's been a while since I ran like that. So don't judge me. Alrighty. So, like I said, we're here at Girard Park. Swimming, baseball, tennis, gymnasium. There's also outside basketball and indoor basketball. And also frisbee golf. These guys are leaving out all the good stuff. This park dates back to approximately 1776. Very cool. Those guys could probably smoke me and run. There's some cross-country guys at UL. The UL cross-country guys, or maybe just the distance track guys. And the sign was donated by Phillips Wholesale in memory of Philip Scatola, 1970 to 1989. That's a nice little plaque. That hadn't always been here. That hadn't been here long. I guess the backside, yet, but says the same thing. So I'm gonna cut through and zigzag a little bit. It's like 1.25 miles all the way around the park. That's the track that runs all the way around it that I just ran. So that would be a very long vlog if I did all that, but I'll just kind of cut through and show you guys some stuff that I think is cool, and maybe add a little bit of, you know, my personal history of the place, but not by much, just little tidbits here and there. I'll start off by showing you this beautiful pond here. That's always been the central point or focal point of the park. I remember when I was a little boy, as long as I can remember, far back as I can remember, coming here with my mom and dad and my little sister and friends and other families sometimes, and we come feed the ducks. Got a lot of algae on it right now, but albeit it's still beautiful. And it's not usually this green on top, but it's just the time of year, you know. Algal blooms, which I'm learning more and more about in my environmental career. It's a pretty good sized pond though. So the park, the original land of which Girard Park sits on, and that it's a part of, was part of a land grant, part of the original Spanish land grants. Now, you've heard me talk about that in other vlogs, and if you haven't watched any of my other vlogs, Spanish land grants were donated and, well, granted back around that time, around the mid 18th century and stuff like that. And basically you could just apply for land grants, massive land, like massive pieces of land. And here's some ducks right here, and then you could see how close they'll let me get without getting attacked. I do not want to get attacked by a duck. Hey, I'm sorry I don't have any bread for you, but don't tell anybody. Well, there's that guy, he's jumping over there. Things make me nervous. So anyway, back then, lots of plantations, especially in the South here in South Louisiana. Well, not just South Louisiana, but in general. A lot of plantations that were built on Spanish land granted land. And I'm talking about like some people are getting hundreds of acres, you know, and in this case, this was part of about 35 acres of land granted to a René Tronha, a man named René Tronha. And that was around actually on May 4th, 1776 was a date of the grant, of the land granted. But the piece of land, parcel of land, whatever you call it, was granted to Mr. Tronha. And so, a cool little pigeon hanging out with the ducks here. Like I said, you gotta like watch yourself around here because they just fly around. This up and fly, and then they will fly right by you, right by your head. They're a pretty fountain. Beautiful, beautiful pond. And cypress trees right in the middle and all that. So over time, Mr. Tronha, Mr. René Tronha, he passed away in 1789 and subsequently passed down that piece of land, that 35 acres, to his daughter Henriette and his son Louis, who I'm just gonna follow these ducks. Subsequently, that's a beautiful mallards right there too. Who they subsequently sold the land to a Charles Dugat, and then he actually ended up selling it to a former Louisiana senator named Basil Crow. And Mr. Crow was, he was in law. He practiced law, and around 1854. He retired from law to practice or study agriculture. And with that, he had a house that's, for those of you who are local, his house was right there on West Pinhook, which was called Crow Avenue at the time. And now it's called West Pinhook, excuse me. And I'm still kind of winded from my run, trying to cool down still. And so with that, he started a cotton plantation. And what I was saying, so it's on West Pinhook, but his house was actually right there by Dimenade, by the oil center and all that. So his house and cotton plantation were actually seized in 1863 by Union troops, most likely Nathaniel Banks, who was kind of leading and spearheading the Union troops army movement up the Vermilion in 1863. I'm drinking my water here. So he got his land, plantation, his house seized by the Union Army to be used as Union Army earthen land or whatever, production or whatever. I don't know exactly what that means. I know what earthen means, obviously, but I don't know what they did with that. Like, if they just used that for, I don't know. But that's what they seized it for in 1863. So many years after the Civil War, Mr. Crow and his wife, Maximilian Brashear, ended up kind of just handing the land down to their children. And in 1834, some descendants of Maxime and Michael Eloy Girard, which is probably, Maxime was probably one of the daughters of the Crows, and she married into a Girard family, and they donated this 35 acres of land, of which Girard Park sits on, and with the intention of it being used as a park. Look at this fella. And so that's what it was. It was granted, that land was used as a park. And around 1957, which is some of the structures I'm about to show you here. Mid-century, mid-century style architecture. You can call it mid-century modern style architecture. Recreation center was built, and some of these outdoor restrooms, which to most people, to the lay person, you might just be like, oh, it's just a bathroom. But if you're anybody that watches my channel that appreciates old architecture, especially mid-century, you'll recognize and appreciate the style architecture. So let's go and look at a couple of those places now. I'm still catching my wind here. That run was brutal. This park has like little hills, like little false flats. What do you call it? And man, it'll really get you. I hadn't ran here. I used to run here all the time in college, but I hadn't run here in so long. So it felt good to be back, but it hurt. And so I'm still catching my breath here. So right by this, the first structure I want to show you guys is this cool plaque of Mr. James DiMaggio. I guess he lived from 1906 to 1988. And he's a lawyer, Louisiana legislature, U.S. congressman, founder and president of Codafil, however you say that. My Cajun self should know that. And it says, this tree from the Durance Valley of the Provence region of France pays tribute to the memory of Jimmy DiMaggio, founder of Codafil. I was going to call it that. The Council for Development of French in Louisiana. It is said in Provence that Elzard Bouffier, a solitary shepherd, through dedicated and selfless work, reforested and thus transformed a small part of the world in which he lived. This tree comes from that area of France, In the same spirit, it can be said that James DiMaggio revitalized the vanishing French language and culture of Louisiana through his dedication to Codafil. Codafil's mission, the protection and promotion of Louisiana's rich linguistic and cultural heritage. And there's the same thing in French, but again, you don't want me to do that. So I guess it's this tree right here. It's actually a really beautiful tree. It just says it's a tree from the Durance Valley of the Provence region of France. I don't know, it didn't really say what kind of tree it is. Or did it? I don't think it did. Pretty tree though. Very pretty colored bark to it. Really pretty. I don't know if you're getting the color pop on these leaves, but they're like a nice greenish yellow color. Very pretty. So anyway, guys, so around in 1957, mid-century style architecture was, that's what the rec center here. I'll show you that and in a minute. But first I want to show you, since it's the nearest one to me, these outdoor restrooms here. You can see it's a very mid-century, very much mid-century style architecture here. And it's weird that I'm filming restrooms at a park, but I love this style of architecture. It's almost like that old drive-in architecture, you know what I mean? And there's not much to show besides just what I'm showing you here. Like, with, it's not much to really get any close-ups on or anything, but it's just, to think that it's that old. And they keep it up, obviously. This whole park's kept up very well. So as you can imagine, here in South Louisiana, especially Cajun country here in Lafayette, there's lots of festivals and, music festivals and such like that. So these stages, there's about 3 or 4 of these spotted around the park where bands will play. They'll set up here and they'll play, and they'll just be, it's almost like a natural amphitheater here with this hill. And there's certain festivals that go on here where you can just walk around the park and see bands playing at all these different stages. Now that one says number 10 on it, has a 10 on it. I don't know if there's 10 of them and I'm underestimating the number of them, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was 10 of them. But there's different stages around the park for people that can come in, or bands that can come and play during these festivals and such. But anyway, this structure right here, this is the rec center, and I'm behind it. Now again, in 1957, this mid-century modern, I call it modern, mid-century architecture rec center, which is pretty state-of-the-art at the time. It's still kept up they're doing maintenance on it right now actually, but it's been kept up very well, and it's got some very nice accents to it. And all that. But the second story you see here was added in 1965 by a different architect. But you know, nothing for those of you who aren't into that kind of thing, into that kind of architecture. You're just like, okay, it was just a building, dude. But I love that you know, case study rectangular cubed shaped architecture from that time period. I just love it. And you can see here, as you can see here, it's kind of loud. Sorry, there's AC units right behind me here. It's the back side of the rec center. And here's that old-fashioned, old Americana municipal pool, which in the off season is it belongs to the Ducks. But I promise you guys, in the summertime when it's all cleaned out and crystal clear and blue again, it's full of people. And let's see if I can find some pictures you got for you guys online. People swimming here back in the 50s and 60s. I know there's pictures of that out there. And I guess that used to be a high dive right there, but it looks like it's not that anymore. Here's some nice tennis courts. They've always kept up these tennis courts too. Sorry, I just can't talk today. There's people playing on them right now. Actually pretty decent courts, but they've always been nice. I don't have any memories of them letting those go and getting in bad shape or anything. Now, a little personal history with me and this tennis wall here. My mom used to come and hit tennis balls against this wall for years and years. And she would come with her tennis racket. Remember, she had a tennis racket. That was it was a Chris Everett signature tennis racket. And she was really into tennis at that time. And she would we'd come to the park here and play on the recreational, whatever you call them, the toys, like you know, like these types of toys, like things you play on as kids. Except back then they were all made out of metal. Remember those? And if you fall down on those things, it's like super injury prone type stuff. Anyway, so we'd sit here, it seemed like for hours. It probably was not that long because we were two young kids. I'm sure my mom had very little time to get some good focused tennis ball hitting in. But we'd come and watch her and sit on that concrete slab and just watch her hit tennis balls. Good memories. And here's the playground here. I bring my kids here all the time to play, but this is new age stuff, obviously. These weren't, I'd say these are within 15, 20 years old. But Mr. Turtle here, this thing right here, some of you might recognize this from mid-century time frame, these turtles here. And this one's unique to this park, but I'm sure you guys recognize these from around the country. But this one's been here, I believe, for the majority of the time that the park was, you know, I'd say from the 50s or 60s, this turtle's been here, and it's been many, many different colors. Y'all know I couldn't pass up this oak tree. Look at this baby. Almost touches the ground on all sides. There's Girard Park right there across the street. I'm at Fletcher Hall here, which is the coolest, one of the coolest buildings I've always thought it's one of the coolest buildings on campus. But it's in this back corner here, so like you can't really, the only reason you would have to come this close to the building is if you were coming to the building or just like walking to the park or something. Check this out. Like a big ant with a table on top. Or like a leaf, supposed to be like a leaf. It's all metal with, of course, the table, the top of it's concrete, but take a look at these things here. It's like a bunch of beams, metal piping or something, done in an artistic way, just sticking in the ground. They're each about 15, 20 feet tall from the ground up. Very unique. There's this thing, I don't even know what this is, but some type of artwork. So look at this baby. It looks like a hamster wheel in the middle, but then it also looks like some kind of a catapult or something. Maybe you guys out there can shed some light on it for me, because I have no idea what it is, but it's been here for years. And I just think it's the coolest thing. And that cool little heart thing back there. Piece of art there. Heart. Heart. But look at this thing, man. It's heavy duty. It's anchored by these cables and stuff. But check this out, man. It doesn't move either. Like, you can't like really, I don't know, maybe it might move if you get enough people on it, but it's not like a one-person deal, that's for sure. Pretty cool, huh? Check out this bench. Very spacey looking, huh? Very Jetsons looking. Tons of wildlife around here, I'll tell you that. Squirrels, ducks, pigeons. What kind of bird is that? Orangish. What is that? From my ornithology friends? Only Fletcher Hall has these unique structures like this. That looks like it's been there a long time. I'm gonna walk over here and glance and show you guys this other piece of the park. And I'll probably sign off from there. I know I said I would sign off a minute ago, but I figured I'd show it to you just because I'm here and I'm on this side. And some more of this cool part of the park where a lot of these stages are. Now, if you watch my Festival Acadienne vlog, it basically I was filming from like over here, and that opening scene where the music's playing, that band, I forgot who it was I was playing. It was on this stage here, like facing the other way though. And all this area is like transformed into like a little festival area with food booths and you know, people dancing all around. It's just crazy how the whole park transforms. You almost don't recognize it during that time. But all these, like I said, all these podiums and such, these were added around I'd say the early 90s. They've got to be, I say, a good 30 years old. These weren't always here at the same time, you know, at the same time when they built the, here's another one of those mid-century outdoor bathroom buildings over there. Pretty much the same as the other one I showed you. Let me zoom back out here. But this is basically the back side of the park, or whatever, I mean the front side, whatever you want to call it. But the pond that I showed you is way over there, so we kind of walked around. The track comes around, and this is like the back side. And this is where most of the festivaling goes on because it's such an open space. As you can see here, you know, just wide open, plenty of space for everything. And that's like the main stage. That's the biggest stage that's on at the park. That's where the biggest acts will play right there. The biggest attractions, they'll play on that stage. And then these other little pavilions are like what you can claim and, you know, first come, first serve. Have a crawfish boil under there. There's a lot of those that go on here, you know, or picnics or birthday parties and such. Typical public park. Look how pretty this is. This gorgeous oak tree, mossy oak tree. Almost seems like all of its roots are out of the ground. Like long, skinny fingers. And it's just like a plaque that says Civilian Conservation Corps in memory of CCC Boys, Company 4403, 1933 to 1942. Originally erected 1940, dedicated 1992. NACCCA Chapter Cajun L57 or I-57. This is a cool little structure. Erected 1940. That's cool, huh? See, this park has some pretty cool history to it. Here's another cool structure. This is not as old as that other one by any means, but it's still very cool. My kids also climb on this thing. And my daughter, the cliffhanger, always pretty much gets to the top. It makes me nervous. It's a good 9 feet high at least. Nine and a half feet tall. Pretty cool, huh? It looks like an asteroid or meteorite. Now here's a front angle view of the rec center, and you can see there's a lot of work being done on it, which I always like to see because this old mid-century architecture, it's good to see that people are keeping it up. But it's always been in pretty good shape. You know, for something that's 60 plus years old. It's so I heard this little kid just say it's a YouTuber, but you can see how it's got that old architecture to it, that old square rectangular case study look to it, you know. And still very active. They do karate here, they do basketball here still. Nice little courtyard here I'm going to show you in a second. It's small, but it's pretty. And still a very active corner of the community. And the big crepe myrtles right there too. Nice little tranquil courtyard here. Another huge crepe myrtle right there. Look at that big boy. Wow. And across the street at Bio Hall, which is the biology building, which I spent many hours inside of because it was my main building of study. They also had that indoor foliage, like that trees inside the window there. Well guys, I decided to do the send-off with you guys looking at the fountain instead of my old sweaty face from that hard run that I did just now. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. This park is very near and dear to my heart. Many great memories. And you know, it's kind of what this channel's about. You know, showing you guys the things that I find special to me and things that I'm excited about. So lots of great memories here. It's like having an old friend basically. And I hope you enjoyed the mid-century architecture, although it's just, you know, a couple little buildings, no big deal, but it's, you know, better than nothing, I guess, right? And also the other little tidbit things I showed you around the park, and then also like at Fletcher Hall and all that stuff, just stuff I figured I'd share with you in this area of Lafayette, this corner of Lafayette. And with that, I want to give a shout out to and a big huge thank you to Gary somebody for becoming my newest Patreon. Thank you so much, Gary. Hope to talk to you again on the live streams. That was fun. And if you guys are curious about how you can support the channel like Gary did, you can go to patreon.com/travelwithoutacause and donate any amount you like. I would never ask anybody for money, but if you're looking for a way to support the channel, it all helps tremendously. Trust me. It all goes to the channel and it helps me do what I do here. So thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy all my videos. Feel free to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so when I do post more like this, it lets you know and it gives you a heads up and a ding on your phone or whatever. And so you can watch all the videos that I post. And then you can share it with your friends and all that if you want to. So, signing off from beautiful Girard Park on this beautiful day, April 3rd, 2023, Monday evening. You guys have a great evening. Take care of each other. Love you all. Good night.